If you've found yourself feeling strangely hooked on someone who feels emotionally distant, inconsistent, or just slightly out of reach, this video might explain why. Hello, and welcome to The Love Edit, a space where we explore the psychology behind attraction, connection, and attachment, and make sense of the patterns that shape how we love. Today, we're talking about 7 signs you may have fallen for someone with a dismissive avoidant attachment style. Dismissive avoidance isn't a character flaw. It's a nervous system strategy that developed early in life to manage closeness, vulnerability, and emotional overwhelm. And understanding that can change how you interpret what's happening in your relationships. Before we get into the signs, there's something really important to understand. A dismissive avoidant person can care deeply, be invested, and even love you while still struggling with emotional closeness. For dismissive avoidant nervous systems, vulnerability doesn't register as bonding. It often registers as exposure. Opening up emotionally can feel like losing control, becoming dependent, or risking humiliation or rejection. So even when the feelings are real, the nervous system does what it learned to do early on. It protects. This is less about a lack of care and more about how closeness is regulated internally. With that in mind, let's get into the signs. At first, their independence probably felt refreshing. They don't seem needy, they don't demand constant reassurance, they appear self-contained, grounded, and unaffected by emotional highs and lows. And if you lean anxious or relationally attuned, this can feel stabilizing at first. But over time, that same independence can start to feel like emotional distance. You may notice that they rarely lean on you, they struggle to share emotional needs, or they default to handling things alone. What initially felt secure can slowly start to feel like you're standing at arm's length from someone that you care about. When you try to talk about feelings, needs, or the relationship itself, something feels off. They may intellectualize the conversation, minimize the emotional content, change the subject, or shut down altogether. For many dismissive avoidant individuals, emotional conversations don't just feel uncomfortable, they feel dysregulating. The nervous system moves into threat, not connection. So rather than engaging emotionally, the system looks for ways to contain, rationalize, or exit the moment completely. And if you're someone who connects through emotional dialogue, this can leave you feeling unseen, unheard, or like you're asking for too much. Dismissive avoidant individuals place a very high value on independence and self-sufficiency. This can show up as needing lots of space, feeling constrained by emotional expectations, or becoming uncomfortable when closeness increases. What's important to understand here is emotional bandwidth. Many dismissive avoidant partners operate with a low emotional bandwidth. Not because they don't care, but because they never learned how to resource themselves emotionally. When your emotional needs weren't mirrored or supported early on, there's very little surplus to give as an adult. So even reasonable requests for connection can feel overwhelming. To you, it may feel like avoidance. To them, it feels like self-preservation. Over time, you might notice yourself minimizing what you want. You tell yourself, maybe I'm being too sensitive. Maybe I expect too much. They just need space. This often happens because dismissive avoidant partners don't express emotional need in the same way. So when your needs aren't mirrored or acknowledged, it can quietly train you to question their validity. But here's the key point. A mismatch in attachment needs does not mean that your needs are wrong. It means the relationship may be operating with different emotional capacities. When emotions run high, especially negative ones, dismissive avoidant individuals often downplay or minimize them. You might hear things like, "It's not a big deal. You're overthinking it. Let's just move on." This isn't necessarily a dismissal of you, it's often an attempt to regulate internal overwhelm. Strong emotions feel unsafe in their body, so the system looks for ways to neutralize them as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, this can leave you feeling emotionally alone, right when you're reaching for connection. During conflict, dismissive avoidant partners often withdraw. They may go quiet, become emotionally flat, or physically leave the situation. To the dismissive avoidant nervous system, conflict doesn't signal repair, it signals danger. So shutting down isn't avoidance of the partner, it's avoidance of internal overwhelm. It's avoidance of danger. This is often the most painful sign. You feel a strong bond with them. There are moments of closeness, intimacy, and warmth. But there's also inconsistency, emotional distance, and a lingering sense of uncertainty. You may feel like you're constantly trying to gauge where you stand. This push-pull dynamic can be deeply activating, especially if you have anxious attachment tendencies. The connection feels real, but it never quite feels secure, and you never feel fully fulfilled. Falling for a dismissive avoidant partner doesn't mean that you're weak, needy, or broken. It usually means that your nervous system is responding to familiar patterns. Understanding dismissive avoidance doesn't mean tolerating unmet needs. It means recognizing when connection is being limited by a nervous system, not a lack of care. And from there, you can make clearer, more informed decisions about what you need and what's sustainable for you. If this resonated, we break these dynamics down more deeply on the Love Edit.